first kind of celebrity crush. He ushered me through my puberty. I think he ushered many a young lady through puberty. Did.
Hey, it's Megan
and Sue in the restricted section.
And today we are going to be doing the Johnny Depp tag.
Which is why we're hanging out with Johnny Depp back here.
And he joined us for the tag.
I've had this poster since high school. And I'm pretty sure it's stuck to the frame now.
It lives there.
It's there forever.
Yeah.
Yep. And this tag was created by Erica from The Perks of Books, who, as you know,
loves Johnny Depp.
If you watch her channel, which you should.
Yes. She's awesome.
She loves Johnny Depp, especially Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Captain
Jack Sparrow. But we'll link her video down below. She was also the one who tagged us. And we're drinking MILF.
Yes. Which is an Imperial Stout from Mother's Brewing Company, which is here in Springfield.
Yes, and this is like a limited release. They release it every winter. For a limited time. And it says it's ale brewed with cocoa nibs and raisins and aged in wine and spirit barrels.
Interesting.
We chose this one because it's called MILF and Johnny Depp is a DILF.
So we thought it would be appropriate. I don't know.
Anyway, cheers.
Let's give it a go.
Ooh, that is Imperial.
That is potent.
It's pretty good though.
Ooh. It is good.
Jeremiah said this is good aged too. Like if you put it, sometimes he'll put some under a cabinet and age it for a while.
Just let it hang out.
Yeah.
I could see that.
But it's pretty tasty.
It's pretty tasty.
We just toured.
We did.
Mother's Brewing, and it was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome. The tour was cool and super interesting, and the beer was good, and they were super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Would do again.
And it was free. Which was also cool.
Which is super awesome. Yeah, they do free tours quite often.
Yeah. So let's get into this tag.
Let's shall. The first question, or character, these are all characters that Johnny Depp has played. Alright, so the first one is Glen from Nightmare on Elm Street, which is, what author's book did you enjoy so much that you read their entire work?
I haven't really done this since I was a kid. Like, I don't really go out and read a whole author's whole body of work. I don't know why. Even when I really like a book by them, I'm not, like, usually super compelled to just go
read everything,
devour everything. I think I like variety is the spice of life, so I like to dabble in everything.
Little dabbler.
But when I was a kid, I did kind of do this, and I don't know if I ever read their entire body of work. Probably not, because they're both very prolific. But I read a shit ton of Louis L'Amour when I was in like 5th and 6th grade. I just devoured every book they had at the library.
Nice.
And I also, in probably like 7th and 8th, I read a ton of Dean Koontz. And I know I didn't read his entire body of work, but
he's written a shit ton of stuff.
And he's written stuff since then that I haven't read, but yeah, those two I read a whole lot of.
A whole heap of.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read any author's entire body of work. But I have been inspired to read more, like Carlos Ruiz Zafón is one of them. Octavia Butler and Margaret Atwood are all authors that recently I've read a book of theirs and have just kind of wanted to dive into more of them. So
yeah, I definitely want to read more Octavia Butler as well. Next is The Mad Hatter. Have I gone mad? I'm afraid so. Name a delightfully insane character.
This isn't so much a character as just this book. This is Day of the Oprechnik by Vladimir Sorokin, translated by Jamie Gambrell. The character himself isn't necessarily super insane, but they do have a couple of drug trips. Like, there's a point in time where they get this fish that you put into your vein. You inject it into your vein and they like go on this insane like drug fueled thing, and it's like a big stream of consciousness like chapter just from this drug trip that they're on. And so that was pretty crazy. So I guess the character necessarily like isn't insane, but his adventures are.
And I chose Dr. Dolly from Dolly City by Orly Castell Bloom. Yeah, she was straight up just
batshit crazy.
Yeah, like she was always performing unnecessary surgeries on her baby. When the kid gets older, she glues him to her back at one point.
Okay.
And,
like you do.
Walks around with her kid glued to her back for a long time. It's also like in the book you get the feeling that maybe she's not actually a real doctor. She just thinks she is.
Thinks she's a doctor.
Yeah, and she's insane.
Yeah, it sounds like she's pretty crazy.
And I found like delightfully insane might be a little weird. I mean, I kind of found this book delightful in a weird way. Because it was kind of funny. It was like, it was funny, I thought. So, yeah.
I think that's cool. Alright, next is Crybaby. What book features a bad boy with a heart of gold?
So, I was trying to think of a book that I hadn't talked about before, a character I hadn't talked about. So, I threw way back to this romance novel that I read in high school.
Nice.
And it was called When Lightning Strikes.
Oh.
It's by Kristen Hanna. And in this book, I'm a sucker for time travel shit, especially if it's like rom-com time travel. I don't know why that gets me, but I love it. Like, there was this piece of shit movie on Netflix. Like, it was terrible. I watched that thing like 3 or 4 times.
Have you seen The Lake House? Because that's
I haven't.
It's a rom-com time travel thing.
Oh, I should watch that. But this one was like just terrible.
Rom-com.
It was like a terrible B movie that was like time travel love story. It was the worst, but I watched it like several times. I don't know if it's still on there, but
that's hilarious.
Anyway, in this book, she's a writer. The main character is a writer, and she writes these series of books about this like cowboy hero. It's like, and then there's like an outlaw character, and they're like rivals. Well, one day she's working at a computer during a storm, lightning strikes, she gets transported into this world.
Oh.
Because it turns out that this was like her past life that she's writing about.
Oh.
So I chose the character Killian, who was the outlaw, who actually turns out to be the good guy.
Nice.
In the story, and I fall in love. And like looking back now, like there was several very problematic things in this book. Just to warn you, in case you were thinking of reading it. But because I mean, he like kidnaps her.
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's
so, but I always loved Beauty and the Beast too. So
you know,
love
Stockholm
that
syndrome.
Time travel and Stockholm syndrome gets me every time.
Winning combination.
So yeah, that's who I chose, was Killian from When Lightning Strikes.
I chose McMurphy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. Wasn't necessarily like a healthy person.
No,
but
not by any means.
But I think that he did like genuinely grow to care about the people on the ward with him, and I think that in his own dysfunctional way he tried to do what he could for them, and so I wouldn't necessarily say that he was a perfect person or even maybe a good person, but I think that he did kind of have a good heart for the people he was in the ward with.
Yeah. Alright, next is Sam from Benny and Joon. I love that movie.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's a cute one. What book helped get you through a hard time?
I always say Harry Potter for questions like these because it did, and also like even still if I'm going through a hard time I like to read like a chapter from one of the books or something here and there, or just kind of escape into that world via the lore, the fan base or whatever. So
yeah, I don't think I really have a specific answer for this. Like, I just read, I don't know, when I'm having a hard time, I would probably be more likely to read, like, something that's set in, like, another world, like fantasy or sci-fi, or, you know, something like that, or maybe something fluffy, like a rom-com type of thing. Nothing, like, too heavy, because, you know, I'm already going through a rough time. I don't want to read about somebody else going through a rough time.
Bring it down, yeah. Yeah.
So just anything that I can just kind of like escape into this world and not have to think about my world.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. All right. Willy Wonka, a book retelling that didn't quite meet your expectations.
I chose Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. This is by Seth Grahame-Smith and Jane Austen. And it's not even so much as a retelling as just like he just added some stuff. I don't know. I guess he did. I guess he did change some characters, or one character in particular, her trajectory. But yeah, I thought it was boring. Like, I just felt like I was rereading Pride and Prejudice, which I pretty much was.
Yes.
Not that much was different.
There's just some dead people in there. Or undead people in there.
Yeah. And some of it was kind of funny, because you've got these, like at the beginning, they're, like, at this, fancy party, and then they have to, like, kick zombie ass,
Excuse me.
There's these women in their long dresses, like, kicking. Well, actually, I think they might wear pants at some point. I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah, it was just meh. It was pretty boring, I thought.
Wah, wah. I said The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Those are kind of fairy tale retellings in like a sci-fi-ish way, and I thought that was a really cool concept, but I felt like she stuck too closely to some fairly common like YA tropes, and I think she could have done some really cool things with that series that she kind of missed out on. I don't think it was bad. I don't dislike the series, but I don't think it was as well done as it could have been.
Yeah, I could see that. Next is Edward Scissorhands. Misunderstood. Recommend a book you feel does not get the love it deserves.
Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, just because I haven't heard a whole lot of people really talk about this.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And I've seen like a couple of things, like when people have talked about it as like, well, it's a lot of man-hating in there. And I don't really think it was a man-hating book. I think it was just that the men didn't come across in a super flattering light. Like, really only one of them is a dickhead. Like, there's really only one of the dudes in here that's really made out to be like a dick. The other two are fine. They just are constantly amazed that women can actually do things.
Yeah.
And survive without men. But I really loved it. I thought it was super fun. It was like a early 1900s, like, adventure novel, kind of. But it was mixed with, like, a utopian feminist society kind of an ideal. So it was cool.
I chose The Song of the Forest.
Which I have.
McKay. Yeah, Megan has my copy of it. Yeah, I don't know anybody else who's read that book. It has, like, I think 10 or 15 ratings on Goodreads.
Wah, wah.
And I really liked it. I thought it was beautifully written. It's set in, like, the Dark Ages in Scotland, in a remote village, and it comes under attack by some raiders, and all the men in the village get slaughtered. Like, they go to fight these raiders and just get slaughtered. So there's, like, the priest and, like, one or two other dudes who are, like, disabled, so they couldn't fight.
Right.
Left in the village, and the rest is all women. And so the priest, or I don't know if he was a priest, but religious person,
Figure of some sort,
yeah,
right?
Builds like a golem, like what's essentially a golem, to protect this village. And I don't know, I just thought that it was really beautifully written. The author was a poet, and I think that really came across in his writing, and it was just like a magical,
Sounds like
beautiful
fun.
book. And I also recently I was reading about the author, and I did not know that he killed himself because he thought he was a failure as a writer. And I was like, I liked your book. I loved it.
That's so
I loved your book,
sad.
Helen McKay.
Ugh.
Yeah, because I think he didn't want to be known as a poet. He wanted to be a novelist, and none of his novels were ever popular.
Like widely accepted or whatever.
Yeah, but I found that one at a library sale and thought, hey, this sounds cool, and
Yeah.
I really, really liked it a lot.
I'm excited to read it. So, Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. What is your favorite classic horror story?
I chose, maybe not this story in particular. But I have Invasion of the Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. I don't think he was really the first to kind of do this. Mm-hmm. Also, this book was, like, not great. It wasn't bad, but it was just okay. But I just like aliens freak me out. Mm-hmm. So anything with aliens is gonna scare the shit out of me. And this one was, like, kind of creepy in a lot of ways. I think what the aliens ended up being was, like, less creepy than it could have been. I think maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first person to do this might have been Ray Bradbury, because he wrote the story behind the movie It Came from Outer Space, which was like a body snatcher movie. I'm not sure if that was like the first of its kind, but stuff with aliens.
Alien shit.
Aliens.
I said...
I was trying to be that guy.
Aliens.
Aliens.
You'll look super crazy when you do it, though. We're going to have to dishevel your hair.
Yeah. Like,
aliens. Oh, God. I said really just anything from Edgar Allan Poe. This is kind of nostalgic for me because I started reading Poe in, like, junior high or high school, and I thought I was, like... Super dark and edgy, right? So I was reading Poe. I didn't know there were other things out there. So I really love The Mask of the Red Death. I remember reading that and just kind of being enthralled by it. I liked that story a lot about the bubonic plague.
Yeah, I used to sit in English class and read Poe as well.
I thought I was like super dark and edgy.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
You know, I wasn't, but...
Alright, next is Gilbert Grape, a book where sadness and beauty play equal parts.
I chose The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini for this one because I think the beauty part for two reasons, because some of his descriptions of Afghanistan and of the kites that they, you know, use or whatever, some of his descriptions were really beautiful. And then there's like a whole like redemption, forgiveness kind of a theme in it that's also really beautiful. But this book is sad as shit. Like just... There's some really, like, heavy, really tragic stuff in here that just really hits hard. So I think it was both beautiful and sad. Mm-hmm. Very good, though.
I chose In the Shadow of the Banyan by Batty Ratner. This book was very beautifully written. The language is pretty flowery, so if that's not your thing, then
don't read it.
Probably won't like it. But it's just... yeah, again, like you said for that one, the descriptions were just beautiful. Mm-hmm. Everything was described really beautifully, but it was also pretty heartbreaking. It's about a little girl who's living through the genocide that happened in Cambodia in the 70s. And yeah, it's really sad, but it also is kind of a beautiful story because she's kind of, her father, or not early on, but like her father gets taken away, and I mean, I'm sure he's killed. They were killing any like intellectual, because they were wanting to create this like work society.
Right.
And her father was like a poet, I believe, and he was also a member of the royal family, which is also...
So he was
fucked. So, so he gets taken away, but she kind of like recalls like the stories he's told her, and sort of sees things in this really beautiful poetic way, like views the world around her in that way, even when everything's shit.
Going to shit, yeah.
You know? Huh. So, I don't know. I thought it was a really beautiful book, but it was quite sad.
Deeply sad. Alright. So Victor Von Dort, from The Corpse Bride, a book that you'd like to see made into a stop-motion film.
I said The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales by John Scieszka and Lane Smith. This book is
Ooh, old Billy.
This book is kind of already written or already drawn in like
Oh, that's perfect.
in like a similar style.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, I think it'd be perfect. And it's just a book full of like fairy tale retellings, but told in like really absurd ways. Like this one's an ugly duckling retelling, but he's like an ugly duckling,
ugly.
and then he grows up to just be a really ugly duck. And that's the story.
Still ugly.
So, and you've got like instead of the princess and the pea, the princess and the bowling ball.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
yeah, it's just really like silly retellings of fairy tales, and I loved it when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
So I think that'd be perfect.
I didn't really have an answer for this one. I don't feel like I read books that lend themselves well to stop motion. I don't know. Jurassic Park might be crazy. Let's get Tim Burton on that.
Funny. Stop motion dinosaurs eating people.
There's like claymation entrails flying everywhere. Can somebody call Tim Burton? Get him on the line.
Alright, next is Sweeney Todd, a book with a concept you wouldn't think would work, but it pulls it off.
I said The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins, just because that book is like batshit bananas crazy, and it just sounds absurd. These 12 orphans are raised by a man that they call Father. Father has the power over life and death, but one day he just vanishes, and these 12 orphans have to like duke it out for control over this library like in which they were raised. So it's hard to describe that book because it's so crazy.
Yeah.
So like once you read it, you're like, wow, that really worked, but it was batshit bananas crazy.
Batshit bananas.
That's the highest level of crazy that there is.
I said Homegoing by Ya Jesse just because the book, it's not a super long book, it's like 300 and some pages I think, but it covers such a huge span of time and also has so many characters that you'd think it would be too much. But I thought it worked really well, and yes. Bravo. Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse. I have your copy of that. Also. Alright. So Ed Wood. A book that is terrible, but you enjoyed it anyway. What is Ed Wood from?
I don't know. I haven't actually seen that. I think the movie might be called Ed Wood.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
I don't know that one.
That's the only one on this list that I haven't seen, which is impressive for me.
That is impressive for you. That's very impressive. You're all right.
I had a strong Johnny Depp phase for a while. Hence the poster. I could say When Lightning Strikes for this one, the book I talked about earlier.
Well.
But I chose Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I loved that book when I first read it. I read it when I was 18.
Yeah, which to be fair, when you read it, you were the target audience for it. So
True.
It makes sense that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I bought all the rest of the books when they came out. Like, bought them brand new as soon as they came out and read them. Yeah. I liked it at
It
the
is
time.
what it is. You were 18. You were the appropriate audience for that book.
Yeah, I feel really old saying, like, I bought the books when they came out. Like, when I read the first Twilight book, the others hadn't been published yet. I'm old!
We're getting up there. We're creeping on 30.
Yeah, I'll be 30 this year.
I just turned 29, so I'll be 30 in a year. Oof. I said, I don't know that this book was terrible, but I can't really say that it was like a quality piece of literature. I said Fated by S.G. Brown. I enjoyed reading this. I had a fun time reading it. It was bizarre, and I mean, the character Fate is telling you this story, and he falls in love with like a mortal woman, and he's like has sex with Destiny and like hangs out with Death, and like they're buddies, and it's like a weird story, but I had a good time reading it. It was fun.
Alright, and the last one is Jack Sparrow. This is the greatest book character ever!
That's in all capital letters!
Or a book featuring your favorite quotes. And share them.
That's a really tough question, because I don't know that I have a best character ever.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah, I mean, I have characters I like, but not, like, best character ever. I like quotes from Harry Potter, especially Dumbledore quotes.
Well, I just recently read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and it had one of my favorite quotes. Something like, the ships hung in the sky in much the same way that bricks don't.
That's a pretty awesome quote.
I laughed out loud when I read that, and
Well, that is the Johnny Depp tag.
that is the Johnny Depp tag.
So, do we want to tag anyone?
Oh, who should we tag? Maybe Game of Tomes. Ashley from Tomorrow is Another Read. Yeah, Jordan Lurie.
Yeah.
We'll tag you. We'll also tag Hardback Hoarder.
Yeah, let's do that too.
She does her Tag Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tag Tuesday. Tag Tuesday it up.
We revisit our MILF.
Let's
Imperial
revisit that
Stout.
MILF.
I really like it. It gets, like, easier to drink as you go.
It does.
Because it was
yeah.
a little intense at first, and I was like, woo!
Yeah.
But it's pretty good now. I
Yeah.
mean, I liked it for the first two, but...
Yeah, I liked it okay the first time, but it's getting, or the first drink, but it's getting better. I'm a little bit
It does
touchy
kind
about
of-
Imperials, though.
I do kind of feel like it does taste like raisins. Am
Yeah.
I crazy?
No, I taste the raisins and, like, the wine flavors. It tastes like red wine, kind of.
It does a little.
Which is cool, because I like red wine, but...
Yeah, definitely.
Tastes like red wine.
Yeah. Hungry goes great with savory meats like venison, beef, and bison, or try it with something sweet like panna cotta, raspberry tart, creme brulee, or chocolate souffle.
Mother's getting all fancy.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Yeah, this is pretty tasty though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If you see it says adults only.
Grown-ass folk only. There will be some links down below where you can find us elsewhere on social media, as well as links to the channels we've tagged.
Down there.
Down there.
If you haven't subscribed yet, please do.
Do it.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.